How do you do, y'all? This is John, and today we are talking about Harriet the Spy, a movie that came out in 1996, starring Michelle Trachtenberg, and based on the classic children's novel of the same name. And in Harriet the Spy, deals with Harriet M. Welsh, a 11-year-old girl who lives in New York City that likes to spy on people. She spies on people, writes down what she sees in this journal. However, one day, the journal gets taken from her and read out loud to everyone. And what happens after that, mean things happen to her. And Harriet the Spy is a movie I, watched when I was a kid. It's a little bit older than me, but, I'm still old enough to have seen it at some point. I believe we rented it at the local Blockbuster. But its lead star, Michelle Trachtenberg, was one of my favorite actresses growing up. And as we all know, she passed away at the beginning of this year. I did a video for her then, talking about one of my most nostalgic movies she was in came out when I was a kid. And I decided I want to do another for her birthday. Whether or not this is an every year thing, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to become an every year thing. Like I hope it does with Robin Williams. But I still want to talk about one more movie she was in. And I picked this one because, honestly, it's one of my favorite movies. Now, getting into it, what I like about the movie, Harriet M. Welsh is a very complex character. And, the type of character she is, you don't see in kids' movies a whole lot these days. You don't see nuance or complexity within characters anymore. But thankfully, this was made during a different time period. Yes, what she is doing is basically wrong. Spying on people, writing down what she sees in a journal. Yeah, that's wrong. But at the same time, her privacy with this journal was violated. And that's still wrong. If anything, that's kind of just as bad. So yeah, there's a little nuance there. What matters most is intent. And no, she did not intend for any of this stuff to mean something bad. It was manipulated from a bad person. So yeah, and everything that happens after that she has to deal with the bullying and stuff, it's because of a bad person being manipulative and saying what is in the journal, which again, it's nothing good, but she makes it worse. It's essentially one of those rare few movies that, depicts kids as both bundles of joy, but also kind of buttheads. And we've all been kids at some point in our lives. We all know this is true. And also, like a lot of the other, writing in the movie, the, characters in the movie, her friends, their reactions to the situation is understandable. Her parents, they're not your stereotypical, best to be seen but not heard, kind of parents. They love their daughter, and, sometimes they misunderstand things, but that's typical. They love their daughter, Harriet, unconditionally. Nothing can change that. And when it comes to the acting in the movie, the performances, the best performance is from Michelle Trachtenberg herself. Harriet, like I said, is a complex character. It takes exceptional acting skills to portray her properly, or to portray these kind of characters properly. And then child actress Michelle Trachtenberg. Holy crap. She is great. It is easily one of the best performances she ever gave during her entire career. And that is saying something, because she did a lot of tremendous acting in a lot of different movies and TV shows. She was the best Harriet M. Welsh. And there's been others since her, I know, but none of them did as good of a job as she did. She was only 10 when they filmed, I think. All of the other acting's good as well, and also, believe it or not, this is also one of the rare few times Rosie O'Donnell is not annoying. Doesn't happen very often, but yeah, thankfully she was not annoying. Now, as far as the story goes, the story, I think, is very misunderstood, but I think it has to do with the marketing of the movie, painting the wrong picture, rather than it being bad. Because the story is not bad. It's a classic, timeless story. The thing is that the marketing for the movie, it focused on the spy thing, when in reality the spy thing is just simply a character quirk. It's not really what the story's about. The story is more about the harmful effects of bullying than anything else. And it is a extremely well-written, well-structured story about a young little girl who is having issues. And on top of that, this other thing shows up, and she is being severely bullied because of it. And they don't shy away from showing just how brutal bullying can be. This is definitely a PG movie that earned its rating. You don't see that very often anymore. Most PG movies I see anymore should have gotten a G. But in this case, it definitely warranted that rating. And in terms of the execution of everything, the execution of the movie is top-notch. I don't think this story could have been executed any better at all. The director of the movie, Bronwyn Hughes, she wanted to tell this timeless story, and it already was. But, the route she took made it even more timeless. It speaks to people 30 years later, just like the book speaks to people 60 years later. So that kind of tells you how good of a job she did executing the movie. So in conclusion, Harriet the Spy, this movie deserves to be a classic, and it deserves a lot better than its reputation. This is still a very divisive movie, and like I said, I blame the marketing on the film. Nickelodeon and Paramount marketed this film wrong. Horribly. People were expecting a light, fun, family film. And while it's still a family-friendly movie, you can still show your kids it. I wouldn't call it light. Once the whole bullying thing happens, this film starts getting pretty dark. And it's really more of a watch with your kids movie. That way you can explain certain things to them. Then just turn it on and leave your kids alone. I highly recommend this film. Like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. and it deserves a lot better. And, I really hope that we get proper physical, updated home video release on Blu-ray or preferably 4K UHD. I'm going to give Harriet the Spy a 10. Like I said, today's Michelle's birthday. I wanted to do at least one more video for her because, she was in a lot of stuff I grew up with, and hearing about her passing, it's one of the rare few times I truly got upset, hearing a celebrity's death. Now, it wasn't as bad as Robin Williams. I don't think there's ever going to be a celebrity death that upsets me as much as Robin Williams. But I would say it's the worst since Chester Bennington. And that was rough. And, I hope she is resting in peace now. And, if there's a heaven, that she's up there celebrating her birthday. And I hope, she understands that we all miss her. And, she meant something to an entire generation. Sorry, I got a little sad there, but, this was a rough one. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And please don't forget, I also have a secondary channel now where I do gaming content. Please go check it out. And as per usual, please remember, the Badetsky will return.